What is going on, FA Nation? Justin Fensterman back with you, and with another week of MLB action under our belts, let's talk about player production and who's on the rise, and players who are struggling and falling when it comes to interest level, and those that are falling are rising when it comes to our frustration if we have any of these players. It's the latest Fantasy Baseball Stock Watch report on FantasyAlarm.com. Let's get right down to business and talk about the latest trends in the market. First, a few players on the rise. Let's start with Ty France. France not only ranks second in the MLB with 19 RBIs, but he's also been a top 5 hitter, hitting an amazing .375 to start the season. Over the last week, he's produced a league-leading 10 RBIs. He's even homered and hit the ball 3 or more times in 3 of his last 4 outings. The stock can't get much higher for the Mariners' 2-hole hitter. He's struck out just 8 times so far. His next series is against the Rays, who have allowed a good amount of runs so far, and then he faces 2 under 500 teams in Miami and Houston. The latter, he hit the ball in 3 previous games versus the Astros. He's coming off of a season in which he hit .291 at the dish. Let's go to a couple of pitchers on the rise and start with Eric Lauer. After a shaky first start against the Orioles, we've seen Lauer allow 1 earned run in the 2 starts since, and most recently struck out 13 batters against the Phillies, one of the strongest offenses in the National League. He's walked more than 1 batter just once in 3 starts and should get strong run support throughout the year from his teammates. He's made it through 6 innings in his last couple of battles and has thrown no fewer than 87 pitches in any start. He's sitting with a 2.20 ERA. His next projected start is against the Cubs, who have been one of the strongest teams at hitting the ball early in the year. But besides that 21-0 game they crushed the Pirates in, Chicago has scored 3 runs or fewer in 4 of their last 5 games and have lost 7 of their last 10. Another pitcher on the rise, Miles Mikolas. Towards the end of draft season, we saw Mikolas get drafted in the second half of drafts after a miserable 9 starts in 2021, coming off an arm injury, and speaking of injuries, he didn't play for the entire 2020 season. Despite the fact that he only logged 1 win, Mikolas has allowed just 3 earned runs in 4 starts. He just allowed 4 hits through 7 innings against the Mets without surrendering a run, one of the MLB's most lethal offenses to start the season. He's struck out at least 5 batters in his last 3 starts and only walked 2 hitters during that span. Seeing him have the success he had versus the Brewers and Mets is very encouraging for the one-time All-Star. Despite the previous health issues he's faced, the Cardinals haven't restricted him when it comes to pitch count. Now some players trending down. Let's start with Adalberto Mondesi. He may be a top 3 base stealer to start the year, but Mondesi is hitting worse than any of the top 20 leaders in stolen bases to start the season. He's hurting your team more than helping, hitting a miserable .125. He has just 2 hits and 1 RBI in his last 6 outings. It'll be hard to steal a bunch of bags if you're not getting on base. He was banged up last season and is a career .244 hitter. Besides stolen bases, how else will this guy help you? He's on a team with one of the weakest offenses in the league, and he doesn't hit home runs. Is Mondesi really going to live up to his 4th, 5th round price tag in 15-team leagues by the end of the year? Not likely, even if he steals 30 to 35 bags. He struck out 20 times this season as well. Yuck, putting him in the top 20 in the MLB in doing so. Another struggling hitter to start the year off, hitting .156, is Ketel Marte. He's hit the ball 1 time in his last 5 games and has struck out 19 times to start the season. Marte dealt with hamstring injuries early on last year and was limited to just playing in 90 games. But he hit over 300 in that year last year, and he hit over 320 in his All-Star season back in 2019. He's walked just 4 times and scored just 3 runs this season. The Diamondbacks are just one of 2 teams to score fewer than 50 runs so far, and they've hit a league-low .185 at the plate. The Diamondbacks continue their tough stretch in their series against the Dodgers and then versus the Cardinals. Not what the D-backs want to see, considering they just extended Marte for 5 years for more than $70 million. Yikes. Final faller, Bryan Reynolds. After hitting over 300 last year and hitting 24 homers, Reynolds has hit .190 to start the year and has just 2 hits in his last 7 games. He's hit 2 home runs and produced 3 RBIs, and with upcoming series against the Brewers and Padres, the future for Reynolds doesn't look too bright, and he's drafted as a top 100 pick during the latter part of draft season. The Pirates are playing 500 ball but have scored just 57 runs. He's been the 2nd weakest hitter of any of the regular Pirates starters. Reynolds led the league in triples last season, and he's a career .285 hitter, and hopefully better times are ahead. But based on his next opponents, we may have to be patient for a few more weeks. And that is another Fantasy Baseball Stock Watch, FA Nation. It's still very early in the year, so don't go making any brash decisions and trades out of desperation. We're still accumulating the stats and finding the consistency. We've got you covered, though. That's why you're part of the family, because a family that sticks together wins together. Watch the market and find those trends, and let's all stay one step ahead of the game. Good luck.